Hi, everybody. It's wonderful to find a community somewhere where we can really get to open up and talk about what we're going through. Yeah, my awakening kind of came through in January, and it's been an interesting journey since then. I went straight into a bit of a dark night of the soul, which lasted a few months, and I've come through the other side with a lot more clarity now, which is amazing. The thing that's been really, I've found almost the hardest thing has been family life. And I have three quite young children, and they're still quite young and they require a lot from me. And it's kind of when you're trying to move through this time where it feels as though really what you want to be doing is wrapping yourself in a cocoon and metamorphosizing, but you really what you want is peace and quiet. But when you don't have that available, that can be really jarring and really challenging. So that's been one of the hardest things. But also the question that I had really is around this sense of isolation that you feel. When you're going through something this profound in your life, obviously, intuitively, you want to communicate to people that you love and close friends and your community what it is that's happening to you. But I seem to have this experience of trying to sometimes convey what's happening in a discerning way to the right people that I think can receive the information. And I get this sense that their eyes are glazing over and that they're just not ready to receive it or hear it. And it makes you feel, well, I speak for myself, it makes me feel very isolated. And what I've started to do is withdraw from really like trying to explain to anyone, and trying to communicate. So I don't know, I just would love like some advice from you in this early stage of like how you navigate that,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Anna, thank you so much for being here and
Yeah.
speaking to points that we all have experienced in some way or another. Definitely.
Mm.
Um, First, we can acknowledge just to validate the difficulty of going through this process while being in the world with relationships, with a job, with bills, with things like that. With some of us have children, right? Parents to take care of, people that depend on us. Like this is a lot. This is a lot. And so we want to just take a step back and recognize that the ideal circumstances to go through a spiritual process, a spiritual transformation would be like, in a sort of monastery or a nunnery where you're a monk, you're a nun, you're a yogi, you're with other people that are going through this alone, and they've set up such a beautiful way where you can go through your practice without having all these other responsibilities. So we can acknowledge like this is a known problem, and the solution was to create those types of environments. And here we are, in many of us in the West, going through this with bills to pay and kids to feed and stuff like that. Like if you look at many stories of all the great mystics and masters, they have some part of their journey where they left all that behind to go and do that type of work in a sort of isolated environment. So, let's just take a moment here to recognize how difficult it is. Like we're really doing it out here in a big way. Many of us, I suspect, I know for myself, we did it in isolation in some sort of specialized environment in a previous lifetime, and in some way we said, you know what, this time I'm going to do it on a little bit of a more challenging uh in a bit more of a challenging way, because being out here in the world we can actually give our gifts in a much more profound way than if we were in isolation. So that's just my take on it. You can see if that lands for you. But yeah, that's a real problem. It's a real challenge. And you can just trust that whatever's putting you through this journey understands every last detail of your life, all of that, your responsibilities, your bills, your schedule, everything it knows. It's not an impersonal force. It's able to relate with you and support you through that. And of course, everything can become spiritual practice as well, not just wrapping ourselves up in our cocoon. That was my favorite thing to do, possibly still is my favorite thing to do. But everything can be spiritual practice, right? Relating, cleaning, cooking, everything, everything. So with that said, yeah, we can discuss a little bit about talking with other people um, about all of this. I think very early on, this becomes so profound. We want to talk about it. How can we talk about anything else, right? And then very quickly we realize that like a lot of people just don't understand. They will feel, they'll be judgmental, they'll dismiss whatever we're saying, they'll label us, things like that. So we will likely learn very quickly. If they could understand, if they could appreciate it, they would be right on board with us. going through this process or to be saying, give me some books, give me some material. I want to find out about what you're talking about because I want to experience it too. It's either they do that or they say, I don't know what you're saying and it sounds like insanity and there's probably something wrong with you. I haven't really come across too many people like, that's real, that's cool, awesome, but not for me. I it's either one or the other, generally speaking. That's the way I've seen it. So yeah, that's another thing too. I was speaking with some some people. I'm involved in a Zen Buddhist Sangha, and sometimes they go on retreats, and they thought there was somebody who hadn't experienced anything like meditation or spirituality was asking, what's happens in those retreats? What is it like? And they thought, I can't explain this to somebody. And so one of them said, I just started telling people the food's good. So because you can't express what's really going on here. They have to find out for themselves. And so rather than trying to explain, they took a more of a funny way of describing, the food's good, right? People can take what they want out of that response. The person that's expressing doesn't feel obligated to somehow express all of this to them because it's virtually impossible. But of course, we're here together. That's why we have this community where we can talk with one another. We can feel understood. We can get that itch scratched, if you will, to be heard, to feel seen, to get language around what we're going through, to know that we're not crazy, we're not alone. And in time, if we just kind of, at least in my life, if I stop putting pressure on people to understand and get on board with the spiritual path, in time I've noticed that many of them begin to just start having their own experiences here and there. For some, it takes years. It takes years. Like I had one friend who like just wanted nothing to do with this, and then after years he called me up and he's describing like on his lunch break at work how he realized like on a very deep level like the present moment is all there is, and he's like looking at each blade of grass and like really profound experience, but that was after years of me trying to explain to him about some of this stuff, and he didn't want anything to do with it. So we have to just give people a chance to go through their journey and whatnot. Yeah, and Addie shares here that that was totally her. Yeah, it was totally me too. Totally me too. I knew about Kundalini, and I was like, that sounds like absolute nonsense, right? That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Yeah. But here we are. Fortunately, we can all talk and share. Great dreams, Hannah.